WandaVision review from MBE. It's Friday night, and that can mean only one thing. We are talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Episode 3, Power Broker. I am one of your co-hosts. I love that music, John.
Why is it playing again?
Stephen John McLaughlin, and as you can hear in the background, playing all the groovy tunes, John
I don't
C.
know why the
Walsh.
music is playing there, Stephen. It shouldn't have been playing.
It's so
I
catchy.
paused it and it jumped into the next song in Epidemic Music, so it's Epidemic Music's fault.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Epidemic
We'd
Music.
just like to thank you once again for joining us here on our YouTube channel, and of course our Twitch stream with all the our viewers over there as well, John. But I've just watched Power Broker. That's the name of the episode. Thoroughly enjoyed it. This series just gets better and better, and we're halfway through. It's only
That's
6
sad.
episodes. Yeah.
That's sad, yes.
I think we'll get more seasons, but
I think we've always will.
yeah. I think there's more chance of a second season of this than there is WandaVision, sadly. But horses for courses, John. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. We left it on a cliffhanger, well, kind of last week with obviously Baron Zemo.
Mm-hmm.
That lasting shot, I think it lasted maybe 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Was it him? Was it not? Well, it was. It was Daniel Brühl. He's more in this episode than he was in last week's episode, John. But I'm going to pass it over to you now.
Yes.
Anyway, to guide us through this review experience.
Well, Stephen, every episode does have to have an intro, and just like this review, we need to have an intro into the actual review of the episode. It's all Inception. And in this episode's introduction, we get the very brief glimpses of John Walker. We only see him twice in this entire episode, I think.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it is great, because he's
Not
an
a lot.
absolute goonball, gadgeball, as you like to say over here. Joke, he is not Captain America. He doesn't even proclaim to be Captain America. He's John Walker, US agent. Well, he does proclaim to be Captain America, but he's not. Only in his mind, and it's a little mind, this character. Not Wyatt Russell. I love him. He's cool. I watched his interview. Cool dude. He actually auditioned for Captain America like 9 years ago and get knocked back, and now he is playing a bastardised version. But what a digress, Stephen. That aside, he has a little introduction. He's hunting down these super soldiers. He gets to Germany, I think it is. The guy that was harbouring them, they're long gone. And he tries to act all tough with Battlestar by his side, and the guy just spits in his face and says, "Yes, I know who you are, I don't care." But he spits in his face and he says, "You know who I am?" And that says in my notes, it's a very brief glimpse at this character's sort of moral line and how it's nowhere near what actual Steve Rogers is. That guy wouldn't even resort to going to that place in the first place.
Oh.
He'd go straight to the super soldiers. He'd already know where they are. This guy's so far behind the curve. He's getting spat in the face. He's getting disrespected. And you feel, Stephen, that he's at breaking point. He's ready to go over that line and do something silly.
John, when you've not got the respect of the villains that Steve Rogers had,
Minor
it's
goon
an
villains.
uphill battle to begin with. But you're right, and we mentioned this before we came on air. For what he was in this episode, for those brief sort of moments, he was 10 steps behind, obviously, Sam and Bucky the whole
Bucky
episode.
Barnes, yes.
You know,
James.
and it's just one of those things.
Did you notice that, Stephen? That Zemo was calling Bucky James?
Yeah.
He's given his a Christian name,
Yeah.
James. I'm like, who's he talking about? It's fucking Bucky.
Yeah.
James.
Buchanan, yeah.
James Buchanan, yeah.
Yeah.
Stephen, I love the intro. We love to hate this guy. We love to hate John Walker, but I think you just hate him. I kind of love to hate him.
No, it's not that I hate him, John.
Stephen,
It's a terrible position to put anyone in, and
it's impossible.
He's been man enough. Can you say that these days, to step, into the sort of
Depends
fold of
on who you're
things?
saying it to, Stephen.
But it's more that he doesn't look right in the suit to me. He looks weird.
He's got a very big chin, and that
Yeah.
helmet does nothing
And
for him.
ears.
A little chin strap, yeah.
Yeah, doesn't look right.
Stephen, part of me wants him to continue on in some vein in the MCU as
He's a good
US
guy.
agent.
I think he is a good guy.
Just
John.
not with the shield.
Yeah.
I want the shield to go to Bucky or Sam, preferably Sam, to be honest, because I think he's the guy that Steve Rogers intended to have the shield. Dog's farted. It's absolute evil incarnate. So if I lose my train of thought, I do apologise. It's my 6.5 stone flatulent Labrador that's lying right behind me and letting off, but not letting on. But we know he's letting off because it's god awful, the smell that's hitting my nostrils.
Yeah.
Horrendous. Shit-laced smell. But what a digress, man.
John, this is before we do go on.
I hope he continues. That's what I'm
if
saying.
they had smell-o-vision during
Jesus.
the film Dumb and Dumber, this is the Jeff Daniels moment.
Yeah.
Right here.
When he's on the laxative,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. I wouldn't have wanted that, to be honest. I wouldn't have wanted that. No chance.
No.
I don't want smell-o-vision. It's wrong as hell. You want smell-o-vision of that
Not-
kind? Just
not
go to
our
Baillieston in
viewers.
Scotland, in Glasgow, at the right time when you're right next to that dump, and you'll get the smell of
That's
Jeff
what it
Daniels'
smells
toilet.
like. Yeah.
But Stephen, I want him to continue on. I want US Agent to have a recurring appearance in the MCU as a minor role.
Mm.
He's a villain at the start of his stint in the comics, and then he turns into an anti-hero. He's a sort of a right-wing extremist, but he's an anti-hero. He's not an out-and-out villain. Right-wing extremism's pretty villainous, but hopefully he kind of has his come to Jesus moment and walks away from the right-wing extremism and becomes an anti-hero. Nothing to suggest he's ever right-wing in this TV show, just he's a bit of a shithead. Gadge ball, as we like to say, which means he's a bit of a Jake ball. Bit of a Jake, just ball, put everything ball in front of every word. I digress, we'll get away from that introduction. He gets spat on, he gets disrespected, he gets treated like a little bitch. She's sort of chasing after the coattails of Bucky and Sam and never quite getting anywhere near them. But look, Stephen, we get to the good bit. You did suggest it was an absolute fact. It was in the last episode at the end.
Yeah.
We got Zemo, we get Daniel Bruhl's silhouette.
Yeah.
And as you did say, he has a more meatier role in this episode. The absolute standout in this episode for me, I love Daniel Bruhl. I think he's an absolute great actor, a charismatic as hell. He's got a way about him, a wit and a charm that just makes you connect with that character. You know he's evil incarnate. He's done some horrendous things. He's a Hydra affiliate, if not agent. And yet I still connect with this character throughout this entire episode, and it's down to Daniel Bruhl. And it's right down to the first moment he appears. When Bucky and Sam are arguing it out, Bucky says, look, he'll hate you, you're an Avenger. We had the links. I'll go in and speak to him. And he starts chanting the sort of incantation that obviously brainwashes the Winter Soldier. And he's like, it doesn't work now. He's like, I know. I just wanted to see how you reacted to the words. The very first moment he's on the screen, and I'm like, yes, love this character.
John, he's going to be a thorn on the side throughout this. I know he's in the next 3 episodes now anyway. He was
it's just
penciled
when
in
he
for
turns,
5
Stephen.
episodes. Yeah, that's it. He'll turn when he gets what he needs and what he wants, and then he'll do his Alex Krycek. He's kind of doing that now actually, but he's going to be on the run after this. This is him. He's out of prison. He's going to be appearing more, in the MCU now that he'll be on the run. He'll be a fugitive, and he'll turn up when you least expect. And this is what I like about these TV shows, John. They're opening up so much scope. There was a lot of sort of closed chapters with the films, and Endgame was the sort of ultimate closed chapter for a lot of the characters and their conclusions. The television series are now opening these things up again with the likes of Vision. He's out there somewhere. Some version of Vision is out there.
I was still hoping that would be Ultron.
Yeah.
Who was it that voiced Ultron? I was just watching
it. Was James Spader.
James Spader, the great James Spader.
It's a fantastic voice.
Only James Spader could go to Comic-Con and insult everyone there by saying it's absolute madness, and yous are the reason for the madness, and having an applause. James Spader, because she's all crazy.
The only other person that can pull that kind of insult off in a convention would be Mark Hamill. There's only so many people can do that.
Tell people you're sweaty, crazy people. And they'll all cheer. Yay!
Yeah,
yes,
you're
James.
right.
Yes,
We
you're
are.
absolutely right. We are
And
crazy.
we're fat. But anyway, John, hey, listen.
No offense with fat people.
No offense to any big bone people out there, but not me saying it. It's James Spader. He did say that, honestly.
He says they were crazy.
Yeah.
And he says they were the epicenter
It's up
of
to
the
you
craziness.
to prove me wrong, not for me to prove that I'm wrong. But John, this is what I like about these television series. It is opening up these little war wounds again, and Zemo's the next one. He's the latest war wound to be opened. I can't wait to see what we're going to see with this guy. I hope he doesn't come to any sort of tragic end by the end of this.
Stephen, I'm getting bad feelings that he's going to get killed or
I
something.
hope not, John.
Wakandian.
Daniel Bruhl, I first saw him in Glorious Bastards playing the Nazi sort of poster boy, wasn't he? He took out all these soldiers in that tower, and I just liked. I thought he was great in that film.
This is brilliant.
And ever
Spanish born
since
as well. I didn't know that. Spanish born German.
Yeah,
what a mixture.
But you're right, John. He's got such charismatic presence on screen, and there's a few little funny moments in there as well. The nightclub scene kind of I just didn't expect
pulling
it,
over the artwork as well, while everyone else is getting down.
John Nibble, there was that you're talking about that scene as well. I thought it was hilarious. Sam was the sort of the one out the sort of
unrefined.
Yeah, and it was
okay,
what Bucky
all
said.
know than me.
It's what Bucky said to him. Are you going to Google it?
Tell me what it says.
Yeah.
Oh shit. It was, man.
Yeah, that's great.
They don't put the real artwork on the walls in these galleries. It's places like this they put fakes up. It was a great moment. Stephen Zemo was in and out of this episode. He had the vast majority of time alongside our two protagonists. He was brilliant in it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We'll get into Bucky. Not Bucky, Zemo. We'll get into Bucky as well, I'm sure, because it was a Bucky episode if you're talking about Bucky and Sam.
Yeah.
Bucky had the mainstay of action. That moment in the sort of, I'm going to call it the MCU version of the Mos Eisley Cantina. When he kids on, he's turning rogue and going Winter Soldier and beats the shit out of it about 6-7 people. That was absolutely class.
Yeah, that was good.
But Steve, before we get into that, the breakout of Zemo, I loved that little moment where he's speaking to Sam in the hideout with all the cars. It's Zemo's hideout, funnily enough. Sam saying, where the hell are we? Why are we here? Because you're about to meet your
His
friend.
card
Zemo.
collection was amazing.
It is. It's a fantastic collection. We find out he's Baron Zemo and he's a rich man. Was he... what, I'm blanking on the name. I don't believe it's Sokovian. Was he a Sokovian?
Yeah.
Because he made that little remark, I was once from a rich family before you and your friends destroyed it all, destroyed my country. I didn't know he was Sokovian. I didn't realise he was some sinister German guy, sort of
Typecast.
Nazi out of time type figure, like an evil Steve Rogers, doing his twirling his moustache. It doesn't exist. But Stephen, the breakout was brilliant when Bucky's explained to Sam just exactly what happened. And how did this guy end up fighting with the other guy to start this brawl to distract the guards? Well, I don't know. You do know you dropped that little piece of paper saying he'll kill you, so you kill him first. I love the way it played out. It was almost like Hustle from the BBC from about 15 years ago, but it was in reverse order what was happening. And then we have Zemo walk through the doors. Absolutely loved that. What was your thoughts in the break? What was your thoughts in that?
Getting a bit of a backdraft here, John.
Unbelievable.
I like to see, John,
levels.
it was one of those things
5
where
levels.
it was for someone that's supposed to be in a sort of high level security. It was kind of easy, wasn't it? The way
it was very
but
easy.
It was good. It was stylish. It was fun
He's
in a way as well. Yeah.
He's cool. He gets the job done. Zemo's jacket.
Yeah, we'll talk about his jacket, John, his coat in a moment.
I put a whole point dedicated to that, guys. 3/4 length coat.
But you're right, the way this was shot was very similar to The Hustle. It was, they're okay because they're telling the story from what just happened, and that's what's happening here. But the best moment for me was obviously Zemo walking through the doors and Sam's like, whoa, wait, what's he doing here? I just knew there was going to be tension. But Bucky was right about that when he said, I'm going to go and see him myself. You're an Avenger.
He'll not trust you.
He'll not trust you. No. Simple as that. And I liked it. It was the whole meeting between Zemo and Bucky as well, John, in the prison. He's asking him, what is it you're reading? And he tells him. And he's a sharp and shrewd guy as well, Zemo. He knows Bucky's reason for being there. He's desperate. He says it. He comes out and says that you must be desperate if you're coming to see me. Then it's just a great acting, John. Right
off the bat, Stephen. Two great actors side by side or face to face, bouncing off each other. You've upped the class level right away by bringing Daniel Brühl into this episode, and I'm happy that he's in the last 3. As I says, it's just not if he turns on him and tries to kill them. And how and if he gets out of this alive, because he cannot kill that character off. No. He's absolutely brilliant.
I hope not.
Stephen, I read a great article after I watched this episode saying that this is the sequel to Civil War that we perhaps never wanted or asked for, but we're getting anyway, and I'm glad we're getting it. And the fact that it's filling in some of the events that have transpired after Civil War. You did say we got lots of closure in the Infinity Saga and Endgame, Civil War, various different compartmentalised. We get sort of films within the MCU, we get closure for different characters.
Yeah.
We never get closure for Bucky. We never get closure for Sam. We never get closure for Scarlet Witch or Vision. I love the fact they're doing this with these TV shows. Long form storytelling, 5, 6, 7 hours, 8 hours, depending on the length of the episodes. Focusing on side characters, not the main Avengers. I'm loving the way they're doing this, and the fact that we are getting a sort of quasi-sequel to Civil War. What is your thoughts on that, Stephen? Do you agree with that article? They're saying this is almost a sequel to Civil War.
Yeah.
The way they're handling the evolution of Sharon Carter, the evolution of Zemo, of Bucky, and his stint as a Winter Soldier. It's a great way. It's kind of it's set years after, but it's tying into that sort of Civil War.
Yeah, it's dealing with unfinished business. It certainly is. There's references to Zemo's behaviour in Civil War as well, and how could you forget this, what he did, etc. I'm sure the folks at Wakanda won't forget this. It's a rhetorical question, but John, that's what I wanted. My favourite what I wanted. which is one of our favourite sayings.
My favourite, what I wanted. My pink car.
That's my daughter.
That was a great moment.
For Christmas.
Yeah.
But I think, John, we said this, episode 1, we said, this is like Civil War, the sort of feel to this. But this, in terms of tone I'm talking about, but this episode's actually in terms of writing and sort of the continuing story of side characters like Zemo and Sharon Carter. Sharon Carter's introduction to this as well, John,
absolutely
was great.
Stephen, did you agree with me that it was like the Daredevil scene? I think it was like episode 2 or 3 in the first season when he goes down to the docks and he has that great sort of one-shot continuous scene in the hallway beating the shit out of dozens of guys.
It's almost like Batman,
Batman
Begins,
exactly, and the Dark Knight Rises.
Batman Begins.
Oh, Batman Begins, down at the docks as well. I'm thinking about when he comes back and beats the shit out of them, and it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt or Gordon Joseph Levitt, whatever way you say it. Did you agree with me? It was almost like Daredevil, the way they shot that. Brutal. Sort of martial arts from
John,
Sharon Carter, totally different character.
That was something I was going to mention at the very start of this review, was how fucking violent is this episode. I couldn't believe this for a Disney
very violent,
television show. This was very violent, and
they need that, Stephen.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is opening up the doors for more great content with the likes of a Daredevil series with Charlie Cox, and giving us that sort of giving us that sort of brute force that these guys brought to the Netflix series. That's what I want to see Disney doing as well.
And that's why I'm not worried about Blade with Mahershala Ali. Lots of people whining, throwing their toys out the pram because they basically confirmed it will be a PG-13. I says at the time, Feige knows how to push the boundaries of these ratings to the absolute maximum. He wants as many demographics in as possible, but they'll not shy from the violence PG if it's needed.
I think the whole rating system is, they've kept the sort of titles of the rating system, but I think people have matured, and they can accept a lot more than they did 30 years ago. That's just my opinion. I think you're not going to get many films 18 now, because I think 15-year-olds are maturer and more sinister and streetwise than they were back in the day when I was that age,
Absolutely, Stephen.
Because they're exposed to more,
they definitely are. Violence. I recall growing up seeing some crazy shit, beheading and stuff like that on my phone. So, thanks to certain individuals that was around. So, yeah, absolutely. They're more cynical, even more today. The younger generation, they're well screwed on. So, don't need to shy away from violence. But
PG-13 doesn't mean what it used to mean.
No, Stephen, you can do some crazy shit with it, and you see it in this. This will be PG-13. This entire TV show, and it was violent.
Oh, Sharon Carter.
The gunshot as well, Steve, the scientist and Madripoor.
Yeah.
What did you make about Madripoor as well, Steve? When we go to Madripoor, it's a famous location in the comics, a sort of secretive island, and I can't recall where it is, Indonesia or something like that, I don't know. But it's a well-established location in the comics. I think that's where an evil version of Wolverine
reminded me of Blade Runner.
Yeah,
just the sort of aesthetics of the place, the
sort
of
Eisley.
kind of
hive of scum and villainy.
Kind of fusion
and
going on there.
John Wick,
definitely, yeah.
Stephen, I get massive John Wick vibes when basically that Selby character get killed and they were on the run and all the assassins were mobilising trying to get them. That reminded me.
It's
of
funny,
John
John,
Wick.
because
straight out of John Wick 3.
I should have realised that. I was actually thinking this is a bit like Matrix 2. The way they're going after this keymaker or whatever he's called, I can't remember. And just pursuing, the next sort of person, and having to get through these people to get there. It just reminded me of that. But I think you're right. It's more closer to John Wick 3.
Again, that shows you the legacy of those movies. Parabellum. Yeah, it shows you how much of an effect and impact they've had on even Disney and Marvel. Ripple effect, the success of them, the quick choreography, and just that concept of assassins everywhere. I'm sure that was established in the comics of Marvel. I'm sure that was well established. This is a scumbag place. Low area, was it? What was it? Low.
We must be cautious.
We must be cautious. Yep. He doesn't like you. My friend doesn't. I don't like you either. I'll be careful. You'll be dead. I have the death penalty on 7 systems or something like that.
It was the same kind of vibe though, wasn't it?
It was.
They got.
Yeah, Stephen. I loved it, man. I loved that whole sequence.
I didn't really understand the whole having to play into character. Why?
I think what they says was essentially everybody there was a bad guy.
Right.
And if their cover was blown, they'd just overwhelm them and kill them. So
fair dues.
I loved that Sam had to play this snake, whatever it was. I can't recall the name of it. This pimpish sort of figure. Only an American can call you a pimp because it's a black guy in a fancy suit. You're playing exactly to character. I love that moment. He's seen the snake getting opened up. He's like, yeah, my favourite. And he's like, and then he downs it, and Bucky gives him a little look. That plays into that moment as well, Stephen, where Bucky goes full Winter Soldier. We see it's not really about brainwashing.
No.
It's about sort of lust for destroying people. It's still in him, and I think Zemo says to Sam at one point, you see, it didn't take him long to get back into it. He's beating the shit out of people. I love that moment.
Sam gives him a look.
He does give him a look. He's like, you okay?
This isn't the person I know, or I thought I knew.
He's into a trance, Stephen, and that kind of hints at what's going on with that character.
Unfinished business.
He's got unfinished business with that side of him.
Well, that list, John, I think's hanging over him as well.
Yeah, Stephen, that's it. That's absolutely going to be what's happening with this character. He'll finally get closure with that little Japanese guy.
I hope so.
When he admits he killed his son, that will free him, and he'll be finally away from the Winter Soldier. He'll be James Buchanan once again.
Yeah.
And that'll be a great moment for the character. I love Sebastian Stan, man. I want to see him playing Luke Skywalker. I want to see him playing this character for years to come, so I don't want it getting shoehorned into some, well, he won't be the Winter Soldier ever again. He has to move on to a new era, and if that means he's carrying the shield, or if it's Sam, then so be it. I don't really care which one comes out with it.
I think both are worthy of it.
Yeah, exactly. They are, Stephen. Look, Bucky took it in the comics. I think Sam took it in the comics as well. So they've also had a shot of it. Even John Walker and
even yourself.
Both know. Even myself, yes, if only. That's a nice little set dressing, wall dressing. I love having it, man. I just keep it up on the wall at night and I look at it. I don't. My dog probably farts on it more than I look at it. But Stephen, mad rapport, man. This sets up Sharon Carter. Also, they're in a bit of bother. Selby. What did you make about Selby as well? This cardboard gangster figure. She was just a bit of a joke. She had a moment for about a minute, then she gets shot through the chest. I'm like, good riddance.
John, it's funny because her acting was up there with Big Mo from EastEnders.
Terrible, wasn't it?
She sounded like as well, that accent.
Sam, who's Sam?
Yeah, she was she's disposable.
Kill him.
You know, I knew right away she was going to come to an end because the acting abilities weren't there, really, to be honest with you.
And Sharon Carter, Stephen, the introduction to Sharon, they're in a bit of bother.
Yeah.
She comes in, beats the shit out, shoots a couple of people, gives them a sort of place to hide. We have that party sequence we do. We see Zemo giving a little dance. I think he does something. And then he touches
John, it's funny. I've not really gave Emily Van Camp that much thought since Civil War, to be honest with you. And it's a shame because this episode does touch on, she is a sort of forgotten soldier, if you like. You know, what she risked and what she's had to live with, the repercussions of the Civil War.
What was the Civil War?
Since those events,
Marvel.
it was forgotten about because she's not an Avenger.
Yeah, and Stephen, they play into that again. They play into the humanity of these characters. Sam's got off. He's got a pardon. He's went through some trouble. He's been snapped out of existence. He was on the run with Steve, obviously, for 2 years. I'm calling him Steve as if he's my best bud. Steve Rogers. Steve. And obviously Bucky, but they play into that. They've seen it with Isaiah. I can't say the name clearly. Isaiah. We see that again when I think it's the scientist just says that some US super soldier with semi-stabilised serum. We just used him. He says him as if he's a piece of trash on the floor. Doesn't mention his name or nothing. But see them playing into that sort of humanity of these characters in this episode again. In this case, it's Sharon. What she's been through, she's had to go and hide into Madripoor. She's not seen her family or nothing. I love that brief little dialogue, how they do that. And I love the fact that this was nearly 50 minutes long as well, this episode. I'm loving the longer form. I liked WandaVision. It was short and sweet, but I prefer this 45, 50 minutes.
WandaVision's credits were longer. They lasted 15 minutes. Do you know that I watched Endgame today because I'm off, so time.
Well, I've not seen it in a while. I need to watch it again.
The end credits for Endgame are the same length of time as one episode of WandaVision.
Nuts. And there's probably about 1,000 people working in that movie.
Yeah.
I couldn't have been that much on WandaVision, no chance. I mean, I know they had to turn it black and white and do some crazy shit, but come on, what the fuck? You're having us on there.
Yeah.
You're having us on to.
Well, 6 minutes of end credits on tonight's show.
So it was about 44 minutes or something.
Yeah.
45 minutes with a little intro.
That's enough.
Yeah, it is enough. It was magic. But Stephen, obviously, the moment with the scientist, Sharon's beating the shit out of about 7-8 people. She's saying, come on, we've got company, can we speed it up?
Yeah,
they're having a little group therapy session with the scientist. I love the way that was shot,
John.
It was brilliant, wasn't it?
It was almost first person. Just the way she was dealing with them. And then there was one coming down.
There's another level
There was one coming down between those sort
Jesus
of cargo
Christ, that dog's
containers that she'd left
Yeah.
to deal with another one, and then it went back to him. He came round the corner and she was just waiting.
Yeah.
I laughed at
Yeah,
that.
stabbing them
When
in
I
the
was
leg and
stupid.
stuff like that as well.
Again, violence.
It was
It's
violent
great.
as hell. And we get another spot of violence from Zemo. No one fought to keep the gun away from the guy when there's a scientist talking about super soldier serum and Hydra, stuff like that. A guy that hates that, wants to eradicate super soldiers, says it earlier in the episode. I'm scared they'll turn into other Avengers, evil Avengers. I want to stop it. They give this guy a gun, and lo and behold, you see him taking the gun out from the side. I'm like, he's killing this scientist. It's just when, bang, shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
And they're all surprised, and there's an explosion. All this anarchy all comes from Zemo. Again, loved it, man, because I love the character. He's a little weasel. He slithers off, but then, to my surprise, he actually comes back and helps him out. They're on
Yeah.
the plane again at the end. He's shooting people, and he's like, come on, let's go.
He needs
These are
some
meant to be
just
the
now, that's why.
Avengers here.
Yeah.
Bitches. What did you make about that, Stephen? What did you make about that whole sequence with Zemo? Were you surprised they shot the scientist? What did you make about the scientist's revelation that he had refined the serum? That you didn't have to have this big jacked up body giving it away. He'd refined it so it was perfection. You could be yourself with this super strength.
Yeah,
That's
that
why
was
we
very
see
interesting.
the
I like
Flag
that, John.
Smashers.
And it's that way where you get that sort of morbid curiosity. You want to see that fulfilled, to see how it plays out. But in another way, you're like, no, it's wrong. You know, very much like obviously the atomic bomb. You know, the curiosity. You know,
Oppenheimer,
and you know, people pursuing that experiment. You know, would want to see how it goes. You know, although it is wrong, morally wrong as
Steve,
well.
you know what else is wrong? That smell behind me.
That's the atomic bomb.
That's like an atomic bomb going
Yeah.
off. That's how I imagine that sulphury smell. That is evil incarnate. That dog has been eating something when I've been out.
He's been
You know what it is?
I think he's been eating metal.
You know what it is, Stephen? He's been eating chicken pakora and wraps. We get a wrap meal tonight, so he's been eating that, and it's clearly not mixing with his stomach well. We're getting bombarded with fart nook after fart nook. But, Stephen,
But John, to answer your question, I liked it.
but they shut it down as well, Stephen, just as
Yeah.
quickly as they set up, oh, we've got a refined super soldier serum. They're not jacked out their nuts. We've not got sort of
there's-
Krychek X-Files.
There's
They
ones
shut it
that's-
down because they admit that there's no
Yeah.
more. There's only 20 serums. They've used what, 12 or something, 8. There's another 12 out there or something like that out
That's
there, and
enough.
he's dead.
It's enough to pursue, isn't it? You
It
don't
is.
need more.
Do you think
You
they'll
know,
deal with that? Do you think they'll be out there somewhere to set up maybe other soldiers, maybe a Captain Britain or something like that? Do you
Could
think
be,
they'll-
John, yeah. I never thought of that. It's actually a good
Just
shout, yeah.
Apparently they're Braddock or something. I think his name is Brad Braddock or some shite name like that.
John,
Captain
that's another
Britain.
thing, you know, mentioning the Endgame as well. This television series would have been ideal for Rumlow to appear in as well
Yeah.
at some point. You know, I know
Again,
obviously,
the connection.
you know,
He bit the bullet, yeah.
yeah, he bit the bullet, but it would have been great to see, you know,
A flashback.
Grillo, you know, back in some sort of form. That would have been great.
Well, apparently he's above it now.
Yeah, I
Frank
know.
says he's moved on from Marvel.
Yeah.
That's because they don't want you, Frank. But you've moved on doing what, some no fucking action film from China or something like. Come on,
Yeah,
Frank.
bring in Daisy Ridley.
Jeez, what well, a Spider Woman, yeah. How does that theme tune work? Spider Woman, Spider Woman. Da, 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 da.
Funnily enough,
Shite.
John, she's actually appearing. I know I'm going off on a tangent here. She's appearing in this new Tom Holland film.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe they've been talking and I'm
doesn't
Spider-Man,
get
you
that
could
far,
be
to be fair.
Spider-Woman. Yeah, yeah.
She's sort of the only female left, and she's getting mind reading capabilities. That does look pretty decent, that, and apparently she's done well with Tom. So,
Yeah.
well, it wouldn't be adverse to Daisy come, and we spoke about that before, but that's getting nothing to do with Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
No.
So I'm going to swerve it completely and move away from Daisy and back in to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What is my dog doing here? Let's go to me. Go to you. I've got a little side light here to fill me in. Watch this. It's as if by magic I will quickly switch off to show you the cheap parlour tricks. We look at that. I've got crescent and now I've got full moon. So
Yeah,
this
with
is
the
what we
Beatles.
do.
Yeah.
My dog has knocked the fucking light off because he's a big clumsy shit. I love him, but he's clumsy, and he just knocked the light to the side. So I had to give away the trades, the secrets, the trade secrets. There you go,
Yeah.
of the show. But Stephen, that aside, what did you make about the whole Flag Smasher thing? Are you connecting with this? Because I have to say, I switch off every time I see a little freckly girl
Yeah,
from
ginger girl.
Solo.
Yeah.
I've got
I'm not
no
interested, John.
real interest in the Flag Smasher concept. I know they're sort of
It's got to
fleshing
give
out
them-
the reverse snap thing, the impact of the blip, as they
It's
call
to
it.
give them something to do, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
I'm not.
They're not
It's
even
not that
compelling.
interesting. No, I don't know. I don't know if it's down to the acting or the writing, John. It could be a combination of both, but it's just not
And they're
enough
the main
in there.
villains.
Yeah,
I just want
rubbish.
them to forget that
Yeah.
and make Daniel Brühl double agent and then go sinister for the last 2 episodes and focus on
Bring
him.
back Red Skull.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, he mentioned Red Skull.
Yeah.
We don't want another Red. Stephen, that's another thing about Zemo. I mean, I had a whole section dedicated to Zemo, but we kind of done it earlier. But I love some of his little speeches. The one in the plane about... He mentioned something about Avengers and how... I think he was talking about the legacy of Captain America, the Shield. Or he's hero worshipping, but the thing is, they put him up on a pedestal and they forget all his flaws.
Yeah.
And he speaks about Red Skull. Would you want any more Red Skull? You don't want another Red Skull out there.
No.
He's right. He's got poison works. He speaks with a forked-tongued little chalice of a guy, but he does speak some sense at times. He's bang on. With these heroes, they're
He
not
made
all
his
heroic.
peace with Bucky at the beginning as well. He says, I apologise for the past, but it was nothing personal.
Yeah, just
And it wasn't, I think most of us understood it wasn't personal. He had this this mission that he had to fulfil. It was wrong, but in his head he was right. You know what? I think it was George Lucas that once said, villains don't know they're the villains. They think what they're doing. A good written villain is a villain that thinks they are doing for the greater good. You know?
Yeah.
When most people see it's wrong what you're doing.
Well, Stephen, there's very few black and white, good and bad people. There's the grey zone. And everyone has a bit of darkness, a bit of lightness.
Got a lot of that.
He's got a lot of darkness, but in his head he thinks he's doing right. So you're right, that's a compelling, real-life 3D character.
Yeah.
And we've got a few of them. We've had a few of them in the MCU. Eric Killmonger, Thanos being the main one.
Yeah, Killmonger was one of the best ones, John.
He was. Well, Stephen, he genuinely, he was right.
Yeah.
He was wronged. His father got killed. He was left in a foreign country, and he was right. They were shutting themselves off when there was people of minority caste, if you like. I can't think of a better word. Communities getting left to fend for themselves, getting beaten down, abused, and they're shutting themselves off. They could do something to help them. So he was absolutely right.
John, you mentioned that there. That's a very interesting, because these flag wavers, or whatever the fuck they're called,
smashers,
that's their purpose. That's what they see as well, John. They see the wrongs. You see it in that explosion in the building at the very end. What their ideals are and what they're trying to do. They don't see themselves as the villains either. It's just
there's sinister undertones.
It's just not as well written. That's what I'm trying to say.
Nowhere near as well written. It's not Ryan Coogler. That's why I don't know who's wrote that episode, but it's not the brilliance of Ryan Coogler. He's a great writer. Watch Fruitvale Station, you'll see what I'm talking about. Tremendous movie. Or Creed, which was another tremendous movie. But Stephen, you mentioned that explosion. It was interesting. They're doing this sort of humanising of these guys, trying to make you bond with them in the previous episode, in this episode, and then they blow up a building with people inside it. Even the long-haired guys, there's people still in there. That's the only way these people will learn, or something like that. So there's sinister undertones with them.
Yeah, she's a
sinister undertones.
She was an arsehole in Solo as well, let's be honest.
And there's sinister undertones in John Walker, aka US Agent, when we see him with Battlestar, again, miles off the scent.
It's like a
Stephen, I tell you what,
like a hero in Kick-Ass.
I tell you what though, I like that character more than I like John Walker. I want to see that character continue, and apparently he actually turns on US Agent in the comics, and it ends up fighting him. He sides with I think he sides with Steve Rogers or something like that. I don't know if it was Civil War.
Yeah, bit late.
Bit late. He's gone now, sadly. No, well, he'll be back hopefully, but it's not going to have any play on this. I don't think we're going to see Steve Rogers coming up against fucking John Walker and saying, I can do this all day, and John Walker's like, okay, I can't do anything about it because you're a fucking super soldier.
I'm just a shit. Yeah.
But Stephen, what I'm getting at is that they're hinting that these guys are going to finally be the thorn in the side for the two protagonists that they always are free now. We've got Sharon Carter now, that they always hinted at being in this show. They've just been a humour to this point, but now they're looking like they're going to go after them. I can't recall exactly what he says. He says some line about, he takes them to the side and says, basically, we have to, I'm fucking paraphrasing here, but they have to go after them.
John, while you're paraphrasing, I've actually got the theme tune, not the theme tune, the Manic Street Preacher's Kevin Carter stuck in my head every time you say Sharon Carter.
Sharon Carter. Stephen, it sounds like a character from EastEnders.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Sharon Carter. Nasty Nick.
It's such an ordinary name, isn't it?
It is. Oh, it just reeks of London. But Stephen, overall thoughts, man, on this episode, the episode in general, the finale of the episode where we see a Wakandian. I think that's how you plural.
John, I was going to ask you that.
Wakanda.
What is this?
I don't know.
I wasn't really
Stephen, I
sure
searched the character up. I was trying to find out who that character was. I looked at the IMDb. The plane is on IMDb, incidentally. Absolutely at it with the episode. and how many people are in episodes, because they've got Battlestar as being in one episode. That guy's been in 3 episodes now.
So far,
So
yeah.
they're playing as like a fiddle. She's not on there, that Wakanda character, but she's coming for
They're
Zemo.
making it up as they go along.
I'm making it up as they go along. They're having us on here.
They
Maybe
did that
hiding
with
a
Han
big...
Solo was supposed to be in Last Jedi, wasn't it?
Yes.
How does that work?
Stephen, do you think that Bucky will allow her to do anything to Zemo, or will he do a deal? Look, let us do what we've got to do here, then you can have him at the end. How do you think this is going to play out? Because she's wanting blood. She's after Zemo. It's not going to work because he's in the last 3 episodes.
Is this the Wakanda
The
you're
Wakanda
talking about?
person,
I didn't really know what was going on.
Are they going to threaten him or what? If you don't give me Zemo, I'm going to reverse that brainwashing, anti-brainwashing thing. You'll be the Winter
I'm not
Soldier
really sure.
again. How's it going to
yeah,
work?
because he went to
got
Wakanda
nothing.
to sort of
Recuperate.
and obviously reverse.
Should he?
reverse
Sorted him
things.
out, healed him.
I don't know. I honestly don't know what the hell was going on at the end. We should have maybe talked about this before we come on.
Yeah,
but
they had a little...
I was going to say
They
when
left a little thing, didn't they?
Yeah.
She left a little thing to
well,
the
John,
side that
that was
caught
the
his
other
eye.
thing as well. How did they see that?
Yeah,
There was this
confused
little
me.
ball on the page. He said, I'm going to go for a walk. And I'm
yeah.
like, what's he doing?
Oh, he spotted something.
Yeah, we didn't.
It's because he's a super soldier, Stephen.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
He's so far superior to everyone else in this TV show. He's a super soldier. This guy's 100 fucking
I just
3
don't
years
think
old.
it was executed well, John.
It wasn't executed well. It's just to set up a cliffhanger. But in the end, it's a meaningless cliffhanger. Because Zemo will be alive and well in episode 2.
Better be.
The next episode. They need him.
Episode 4, yeah.
So, and we know he's in 4 episodes. He's only been in 1.5 now, so he's got to be in the last 2. How many we got left? 3.
Yeah.
He's got to be in the last 3. So you can't count that cameo at the start or the end of
They
the
did.
previous episode. Did they
It's
count
5 out of 6.
5 out of 6? Well, there you
Yeah.
go. He's in the next 4 episodes.
Well,
then.
according to IMDb.
Well, Battlestar's in 1 apparently.
Yeah.
Don't know how that's working. But yeah, poorly executed for me. I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't really know what was going on. I'm much like you, and it's going to have no bearing on Zemo at all, so I don't know what the point of that was. That's what I'm getting at. Overall thoughts on the episode. I'm talking about this Civil War shit and the final point. We've already covered that. It is a good sequel to Civil War. We don't need to go into that now.
No.
Just go into the overall thoughts in the episode and round up the review. I really enjoyed this episode. I think this is probably my favourite of the first, what are we in now, 3
3,
3 episodes. I think this is by far the standout. We've had some great action, some great violence, as you alluded to. More of that sort of humanisation of the heroes. We get Daniel Brill, not Darren. And so I'm happy, man. That was a great episode. Really enjoyed. Aside from the poorly
John,
executed cliffhanger.
I'll say this. If Daniel Brill wasn't in this episode, it would have been slightly below last week's episode. He made this episode,
Elevated it, yeah.
what it was, because you're right. You're talking about the Flag Smashers. I got it right. Flag Smashers.
Flag Smashers.
And
What,
that,
smashing them?
which I'm
With a
not
flag?
too really bothered about. They're a bit boring, if I'm being honest with
Cardboard.
you. And obviously that ending as well it could have been executed a little bit better. But apart from that, John, it was a great episode. I enjoyed it. Balls to the wall action, a lot of violence. Sebastian Stan and
Anthony Mackie.
sorry, his
Tony.
name totally Tony Mackie. If I know him, Tony boy.
I love Tony Ban. I was watching him in Hot Ones.
just
fantastic.
They must have seen the chemistry between these guys in the film. Well, they obviously did because they made the fucking things. But they must have went, these guys would look great and they would work well in a standalone film or something like that. Thankfully, Disney Plus came along and they gave us this great television series because the two of them just worked so well. The chemistry between both of these, and it was great in this as well, John. There was a lot of emotion going back and forth between the two of them. Those scenes on the plane with obviously Zemo as well was great. You know, he was really pushing them to the limit, both of them, and they seem to be working a bit more in unison now than they were last week. And that's a good thing as well. And I just
spoken the wheel with Sharon Carter.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think we're going to see more of her again?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I hope so.
Her sort of outro, she was going into the car. I don't know who she was talking to. I don't know who those people were, but that's another sort of...
I'm not saying she'll pop up next week, but I think she'll have another appearance. She has to, because freedom's in the hands of Sam Wilson. He said he's going to get her a pardon if she helps him, so she's not really helped him much. She fucking saved their lives, didn't she? down at this container, so talking nonsense there. But Stephen, man, I really enjoyed it for all the reasons you says and I said. Just the fact that it's continuing this sequel theme of Civil War, Winter Soldier, and that's right up my street. Two of my favourite MCU movies of all time. So anything that's continuing the tone of that, the sort of vibes of that, I'm happy.
Definitely.
Happy as Larry. But that is going to round up our review of episode 3, Power Broker. We didn't even speak about Power Broker, that sinister, sort of shadowy villain hiding in the dark recesses of... I'm going to search the name up. Madripoor.
Yeah.
He's hanging around in the shadows. You don't know who this guy is. He's a power broker. But who is he really? I'm sure that'll be theorised to hell on another channel, but not on this channel, because we have not got one fucking clue who the power broker is. Go to Campere if you want to see that, and give him $20 for a 4-hour breakdown of the show. Look, I watch it, I love it. That's what I'm talking about. But look, I digress. That's going to round it up. What was your thoughts on the Power Broker episode 3? What's your thoughts on this show in general as it's evolving before your very eyes? If you've got anything to say about that, a review, you can comment down below in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, hit the follow button on Twitch if you want to see our ugly mushies reviewing more Falcon and the Winter Soldier, more things in general. We're not that ugly, we're pretty decent, and movie news and reactions, everything in between. Until then guys though, bye bye. Screwed it.